Hey, hi, hello, everybody. It's your old buddy Nate, and it is time for a conversation about music once again. And I'm sure you're wondering, what could it be about? It is about this great documentary called In the Court of the Crimson King. It's directed by Toby Amen, and it is incredible, and it is about the band King Crimson. King Crimson is a progressive rock band. They started out in 1968, if you can believe it, up till this past last year, where they supposedly called it a day. That said, King Crimson has broken up, reunited over many years, so this could be the last of King Crimson. It could not be. We do not necessarily know. The documentary is great. It's 2 discs in this little set. You get some trailers, additional footage. You get a live performance of Starless, and a lot of other bits and bobs that went into the film. The interviews on this thing are incredible. They talk to everybody you could want to hear from Robert Fripp himself, the guitar player of King Crimson and kind of the mastermind, to Tony Levin, a bass player who's been with King Crimson since the 80s, Adrian Belew, who was part of the King Crimson lineup for a very long time, Bill Bruford, who was their drummer for a long number of years as well. And it's great. It kind of talks about the philosophy of the band. It talks a lot about the different musicians, the music, the styles, the personality. And the overarching philosophy behind this is King Crimson is almost like a philosophy as well as within a band. There's sort of this overarching element to push boundaries, to create, to explore, and to just kind of go into the unknown and sort of gamble and take risk. And there's a lot of great elements in that band and a lot of great musicianship. They talked to Jacko Jasek, who is the lead vocalist at the time of King Crimson and rhythm guitar, sometimes lead guitar, because certain songs there's lead guitar in there from him and not Robert Fripp. Certain guitar parts in older King Crimson songs are like that. And yeah, this is great. It's not really a comprehensive doc, but it's a doc about the philosophy of the band. And you get a good chunk of the history in there. And they mention all the band members, past and present. They do a really good job of kind of dialing it in and not just taking the scope too far, but also not making it too narrow. And you also get a good insight into Robert Fripp's mind. Very weird, odd, avant-garde guy, but unique nonetheless. And yeah, this is excellent. I highly recommend this for anybody who is a progressive rock fan of any sort. You'll get endless hours of joy. And I'm sure for those of you who enjoy that, you might also want to know what is Nate's favorite King Crimson record. And that record is Discipline. I'm actually a big fan of that. That came out in 1981, and why I like that record so much is it kind of bridged the gap and changed King Crimson's sound a little bit. They get elements of new wave and world music in there, and you get Bill Bruford, drummer extraordinaire. He was in Yes for a minute, and then he joined King Crimson, and he became a powerhouse in his own right. You get Tony Levin on bass. You get Adrian Belew doing guitars. And he was from Frank Zappa's band, so it's not like Adrian Belew was just this random guy that Robert Fripp found. He had a musical pedigree that could work within the confines of the band. And Robert Fripp himself, I mean, he had just gotten done doing session work with Bowie and Brian Eno and all these other luminaries who are incredibly creative and fiercely unique and individual in their approaches to music. And yeah, it's a great record. Obviously, in another video, I'll talk more in depth about King Crimson, because that record, anyway, Discipline from them, because to me, it's a fascinating snapshot. But if I had to give you essential recommendations for King Crimson in terms of albums, I would say Discipline, In the Court of the Crimson King, which came out in 1969. That's their debut. It's kind of the birth of progressive rock music in a lot of ways. I would say those. I would also say Red, which I believe came out in 1973 or 74. I could be getting that mixed up with Lark's Tongues and Aspic, which is also great. But I would also say Red, which is awesome. That features John Wetton on bass and lead vocals, and he is amazing. He went on to be in Asia. He was in the progressive rock supergroup UK. Great singer, great bass player. It's a power trio. You get Bill Bruford on drums. You get Robert Fripp on guitar, and it's the most metallic. There's songs like One Red Nightmare, the title track, Red. Oh, so good. So good. And, yeah, lots of other good stuff. I even like The Power to Believe, which I think came out in 2003, 2005, somewhere in there. A fantastic record. Very spacey, new agey, almost metal in some ways, due to in the guitar textures and in the tones of the music. Highly, highly recommended. Just great, great stuff. But yeah, that's the stuff I would say. If I had to give you 3 records to check out, it would be Discipline, In the Court of the Crimson King, and Red. Those would be the 3 I would check out to get started. And if you like those, you can go and seek out as much King Crimson as you want. There's things like this beautiful DVD, there's box sets, there's DVDs, there's oodles of goodies for you people to become real Crim heads. And yeah, and if you're new to the progressive rock thing and you're like, I like Pink Floyd, and you want to dive into one of the other bands, you should dive into King Crimson, because they're kind of the godfathers of the whole thing. They pretty much created progressive rock, progressive metal. It's all owed a debt to King Crimson, and they're just brilliant, brilliant band. Just truly unique, truly inspiring, and just, yeah, great. But yeah, anyway, I appreciate y'all watching this. Go ahead and give it a subscribe, share with your friends, and I will see y'all later. Peace.